In this video we are going to describe the context management. The context is a data structure which is kept in memory by context engine during the run phase. You generally use the context to store data collected during automation sequences, or any other data. You can then use these data later in the sequence, to set items value, perform calculation, or display in custom pop-ups. The context structure is displayed in the Context Tool window here, which is empty for the moment. As you have probably seen in the previous videos, a first way to populate this structure is to create get or set activities. For example, I am going to create get activities on the name item. You see that the context structure has been automatically created and populated with the corresponding structure. This structure contains a folder corresponding to the Salesforce application, a subfolder for the P-Contact Details page, and a context item corresponding to the O-Name Getted item. In the same way, if I add a get activity on the account item, the O-Account context item is added to the structure. This way to automatically create a context item each time you need it is the default way to populate the context structure. This automatic mode can be avoided if you want via the workflow settings. In the workflow panel, simply uncheck the Generate Context Item flag. From now, context structure will not be automatically updated anymore. For example, if I now create a get activity on the title item, as you can see, the corresponding context item has not been automatically appended to the context structure. And you have here an incomplete get activity without context item property. You now have to manually create the get activity context item. The first way to do that is to create the item directly in the context window by using context menus. An easier way to do that is to create the context item directly in Property Editor. To do that, simply type the name of the context item in the data editor. Here, I create a new My Title context item in a new My Folder context folder. You can see here that the corresponding elements have been added in the context structure. You can also edit the context structure in the sublist of the data editor. For example, I can rename the My Title item. In the next part of this video, I am going to explain how the activities are linked with their associated context items. These links are based on internal id, not on the name of the context items. This allows to rename a context item without breaking the link with its using activities. For example, if I rename the O-Account context item, you see here that the activity using the O-Account item doesn't lose the link. Its display name is simply updated to reflect the change. The same way, I can change the name of the folder. And the change is reflected in all the activities concerned. This way, you can refactor your context structure at any time without losing links with previously created activities. You can also move items or folders. For example, I am going to move the contact data folder inside the My Folder folder. You see here that activities are still linked with their context items and that their display name reflect the change. The only way to break the links between a context item and its related activities is to delete it or its containing folder. In any other case, the link is preserved. For example, if I delete the O-Name context item, the link with this activity is broken, as you see here. Even if I recreate an item with the same name, the link with the activity is not automatically recreated. You have to set the link manually. Now, I reactivate the automatic mode. You are going to see that automatic mode remembers which folder is associated to a page, even if it has been renamed. I create a new Get activity on the department item. The new department context item is created in the Contact Data Context folder. If you remember, this folder was automatically created associated to the Contact Details page, and renamed later as Contact Data. So, the link between the automatically created folder and its page is conserved, even if you rename or move it. Another usage of a context window. I clear all previously created activities. You can create get and set activities by using drag and drop from More to Context window. If I drag a context item, and I drop it on a Pages item, a set activity is created on this element, using the dragged context item as source data. In the other way, if I drag a Pages item, and I drop it on a context item, I create a Get activity to store the Pages element value in the destination context item. I forgot to speak about the checkboxes placed on the right of the context structure. This checkbox allows you to say that the corresponding folder or item is an array. For example, suppose that I want to store multiple contacts rather than only one. Then, I check the Is Array checkbox. The folder icon then reflects the change. The use of context arrays is fully described in the video about loops. The last point is about generated code. I just build the workflow. You see here a new generated entities.js script which has been added to the project. This script includes the JavaScript declaration of the whole context structure designed in the Workflow Designer. This declaration is made using Data Managers, which is a context REST component equivalent to JavaScript classes. The root data manager. It includes an object Salesforce data which is empty. The MyFolder object contains the contact data object, which contains the different fields declared. A data manager is generated for each folder declared in the context structure. This script can be modified as any other generated script. If needed, a merge will be performed. Note that, as for the other generated scripts, Contextor Studio doesn't perform any reverse engineering. This means that any change made in the entities.js script must be manually reported in the context structure before you can use it in your workflows.